make some peace. This is what God is actually saying here. Find a solution for peace, not to just go around insulting people. I've been here 10 years. I've been here 20 years. You don't know me. Yeah, we do. We do know you. Okay? And I'm surprised you've been here that long. Okay. All right. So Jesus' offenses are going to come. The scripture that Jesus says offenses are going to come. They always come. But we are not to allow them to create barriers where people say, I don't deal with that person in the church. Or I don't deal with that person. Or I just come to hear the sermon. I don't want to, I don't participate in anything else. That there's problems in that church. And so they need to be dealt with. So we have to be aware of these things, and he showed us how we're to deal with these offenses. Okay, so verse 15 to 20. Anybody want to read that? To break my voice up a little bit. Verse 15 to 20.
If your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault just between the two of you. If they listen to you, then you have won them over. But if they will not listen, take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. And if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Truly, I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you, that if 2 of you on earth agree about anything they ask for it, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them.
Okay, you want to pray about something, and you want your prayers heard, right? We all want our prayers heard. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of this. This is how God is instructing us to deal with it. Deal with something. Go outside of this, guess what? You've broken fellowship with God. You need to repent to God about it. This is the way you handle things. There is no but. This is the way he's saying you handle it. Okay? All right. What is a trespass? A trespass is sin. What is sin? Sin is missing the mark. You've done something that is wrong in the eyes of God. I'm not worried about whether it's in your eyes. It's in the eyes of God that I've done something wrong. Who is my Lord? Jesus. He's telling his disciples, this is how you handle something in a local New Testament church. Going outside of this, next time you pray, it ain't going to be heard. Why? Because God doesn't hear a person that's in sin. What are you to do? 1 John 1:9. What does it say? If you confess your sins, he's faithful and just to forgive you your sins and what? Cleanse you from all unrighteousness. Now you can start over. Now your prayers are going to be heard. But you need to practice what he said for you to do. This is the way. So a trespass is a sin. Okay? So it's against another brother by not meeting the expectation of the Lord's desire that you are to have towards each other. Not what somebody else expects from me. Okay? That's easy to say, well, I'm not going to live up to how you think I should live. I'm not going to be the pastor on how you think I should be a pastor. I'm to be a pastor on how God expects me to be. He's the one I answer to. I don't have to answer to anybody else. Okay? I don't have to. I'm trying to make sure my life is in harmony with God, that I don't have broken fellowship, that I don't have to repent for something that I should be above that right now. It's all right when I first started, I make a lot of mistakes, but now God has taken me through a learning program for 8 years now. You should have that part together.
Right.
You should know how to handle people in the church. All right. So disharmony will erupt, and it will disrupt the fellowship of the church, and it will disrupt your fellowship with God. When you sin, you go out of when you go out of the order that he has instructed us to do. So we sin against each other when we do not treat each other how the Lord expects us to treat each other. Once again, not how that someone, I think you should have talked to me this way. No, I don't have to do that. When I talk to you the way that, knowing that God is watching me and he's in this, I'm going to talk to you right. I'm going to treat you right. Okay? Now, if you want to take me around the corner and say that, but you didn't do this, I'm not into that. Like David, I said, I'm sorry. And right then he did. It was, I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't want to make an excuse and say, well, you know, or put it back on him. I think you took it wrong. No, it was wrong. In his eyes, it was dead wrong. In God's eyes, he got offended. Clean it up. It's really that simple. We make it hard. A little bit further. This action would then impact the way the two treat each other. Okay? You see a lot of that in church? People don't talk to each other?
Right.
You see that. That happens all the time. Okay? Jesus gives us a procedure on how to address and deal with it. The bottom line is what? Forgiveness. And you two being restored back to fellowship between you two and with who else? But mainly, God. Okay? Okay. So, he gives us the correct procedure, deal with it, and after it's done, move on. Don't go back and say, remember, don't ever do that again. It's over. And it's like it never even happened. David's not here. I probably wouldn't have said it if David was here. But you need to know that I make mistakes, and I went to how I was supposed to do it. Okay? So, but if someone is not going to accept that, okay, if David did not accept this, okay, what was he supposed to do? I mean, what if I'm sorry, me. What if I said, oh, David, you're being a little insensitive. Get over it. What was he supposed to do?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 of his buddies, right?
Not his buddies. Unbiased. God fearing.
That's it. That's the word I was trying to think of. Unbiased. That's who you're supposed to choose. An unbiased person. If your brother sins against you, go and show him his fault just between you and just between the two of you. But if he listens to you, you have won your brother over. Matthew 28:15-16 says, but if he will not listen to you, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3. Matthew 17 says, but if he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen to the church, then treat him as, this is a good one, treat him as a pagan or tax collector. Remember, once again, the underlying issue is forgiveness. If one needs to go through the procedure, if one needs to go through this procedure, see, because Jesus is trying to stop it right away. If somebody is being stubborn, now you've got to take it to step 2. You don't really have to. You don't really have to take it to step 2. What can you do? You yourself can say, I'll let it go. It's on you. You don't have to go any further with that. See, Jesus is trying to, this issue is coming up because if it's tedious, you will not take it nowhere. You'll think about it yourself, say, no, I don't know what they do. And stop right there. But if you are that insensitive, or that sensitive, I'm sorry, then go get 2 or more. If you are. If you just can't go on, because it just bothers me so much, then take it to the next level where it can be stopped there. Really, he's trying to stop it before it gets to the whole church, because they don't need to be in this.
Right.
He's trying to stop it. Okay? It should stop at level 1. Gossip will never even get around if it stops at level 1. No one even knew about David and me. And this is not good. This is used for a learning process, not to, and it should show you how big David was. Because David, he didn't know better. He didn't know to approach him. You know? He's intimidated. He's 6'6". He's intimidated by me in a sense. You know what I mean? And he didn't know, because he didn't, you know, he's big Christian. He didn't know how to deal with it. So we have to show him. And look how loving and kind he is, and having been here, you know, what 2-3 years? And how, if it had been to somebody that had been here longer, they're still mad. You know what I mean? When we're here a long time, we get mad. You knew better. You knew not to do that to me. You understand? Okay. But he's trying to stop it at the source, right at the beginning of it. Don't let it go any further. But if he can't, then now it has to be taken to another level. Okay. So, but you got to remember, when you have an offense, remember that you are acting under the authority of God. Okay, now you need to go say, okay, Lord, I'm having a problem with it. I need to take it to the next level. In other words, you're not going to get 2 or 3 people say, somebody done me wrong. You need to tell them the situation, what do you think? No, and probably not even that. Say, there's been an offense. Would you be willing to come with me, you and sister such and such and deacon such and such, and come and just hear it, and you determine whether you think it's offensive or not. Okay. And if they say yes, or they say, oh, I don't think I want to deal with that, you know what I mean? And maybe they do, and they go hear it. Now, are you willing to let it go at that point? Are you willing to say, okay, whatever you guys say, if you think that somebody, I deserve an apology or whatever, then I'll let it go, whether if you say I don't, that I took it wrong. Or are you gonna say, no, I'm not satisfied. I want my way. Now, you know, there are things that happen in church where somebody is wrong. And they do need to apologize. But they really don't need to apologize to you, because really, I'm going to tell you the truth, God got you. Just stopping it right there, God got you. And that person, trust me, God will wring them out so tight, they'll come to you all by themselves. Remember what I said to you last week? I'm sorry. Well, us Christians got good sense. We're going to talk about them trials today in James. We got good sense. Those trials that God said that we're going through, and God says that, you know, He's letting you know, but there are some trials that you're going through that God is not going to tell you nothing about. Why? You know already. And you're being stubborn, and God ain't answering nothing. Okay, and God knows how to deal when we're with stubborn, hard Christians. It doesn't matter what culture you're from, you know, what race you are. We are some stubborn people. Okay? Remember Cain? He's a believer. People say he wasn't a believer. He talked with God. What does it take to be saved? Belief. He's dealing with God. Stubborn as can be. We get murderous. Yeah? We're hard people. Okay, let's go a little further. We're at about 10 minutes. Okay, so look. If it is done in obedience of under the authority of Jesus, as Matthew 18:18, he says, I tell you the truth. Whatever you bind on earth. In other words, this is what he's saying. Stop with this, I got all the authority to say anything. He said, if you do it this way that I have established, this is the way it is in heaven. I told you, I sit on the throne in heaven. This is what I'm telling you to do. It's established. Does that make any sense? In other words, I can't go around and say anything, and all of a sudden I have the keys. You know, the keys are knowledge. I have the knowledge of what God has instructed me to do. This is how I'm supposed to act in a New Testament local church. I'm supposed to follow how the Lord told me how to deal with offenses. Take it to this first step, If I can't get over it, take it to the second step. And now we're going to go to taking it to the final step. There is no more after the final step. You either got it, you either get your apology, or you don't. And after you get it, no, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you went that far, you're not going to be satisfied. You're going to say, you're going to feel bad. In a sense, why did I take it that far? Why did I go that far? You're going to find a whole lot about yourself when someone offends you. You're going to find out more about yourself than that other person. You believe that? You're going to find, you're going to find how far you want to push things to get your way, to get somebody to cow down to you because they offended you. Okay, so you're seeking forgiveness, and what God is saying, it will be loosed in heaven whether they forgive you or not. When you get to the the final process, and then both parties must move on after that because it's ending. God has it. He's going to deal with it in His way. It never may be the way you want it done, because we're all God's children. So it may not be like this person going to come up to you, or this person's car going to be burned up. They're going to get in an accident. Their house is going to be on fire. That's what we want. But God doesn't judge His children like that. He just doesn't do that. He's never going to allow you to be satisfied. Yeah. Because if it were me, like John, Lord, should we bring down fire upon their heads? Hey, you don't know what kind of attitude you have. No. Let's go a little bit further in this real quick. Okay. So, if there's no forgiveness, the matter is bound, and both parties still must move on. That's after you took it to the church. It is in the hands of God, and everyone should let the matter go. In other words, if you're going to bring that matter and it's before the church, and the church is just to say, well, I agree with this, I agree that. If that person still says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way, and I'm not apologizing for that. Okay, he's still your brother. How do you treat a tax collector? How does a Christian supposed to teach a tax collector? How do you treat him? How are you supposed to treat him? Love. We still love you. We're done with the matter. We love you. Go on about your business. Now, guess what? That person should think about that, because now the matter's in God's hands. And maybe some nice promotion that he was going to get, you don't know anything about it. Guess what? He doesn't get it. And guess what he's going to do? I'm going to think about what I said. Maybe I should have just apologized. See, you may never know the results, but you have to leave these things in God's hands. Let God take care of it. Okay? So remember, the goal is restoration. We want everybody in this church to be in fellowship with each other the same way we are to be in fellowship with God. Never break your fellowship with God. Love covers a multitude of sins, and many of these things should be looked over that happens in the church, because people just do stupid stuff. All the time. People do stupid things, okay? And if you cannot let it go, then you need to seek that advice. I got a little bit more to go. I'm just going to finish in about 2 minutes. Okay. So don't violate Matthew 15:17. Go tell it to the person. If nothing's worked out, then tell it to 2 or 3 witnesses. If nothing's worked out, then tell it to the church, and trust that God can work it out from there. In fact, He could have worked it out from the beginning. You never even had to go to that brother. You could have just said, Lord, this person offended me. But you know what? I'm not going to. It's okay, Lord. They were putting nails in your hands and foot, and you said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He didn't turn around and say, you forgive me. You say you're sorry for doing this to me. Say you're sorry. They told, come off the cross. If He came off the cross, then He would never have us to be with Him throughout eternity. He loves us. We can let things go. Can I tell you something? Even marriage, you can let things go. So, you want to get married, you're going to learn that you got to let things go. You can't let it go, you're going to have problems. On your job, let things go. Just let it go. Okay, there's a commercial. Let go. Just let a lot of junk go.
Right.
All right. So now you're going to hear what Peter said, and we're not going to deal with this. We're going to deal with this Wednesday night. Good old Peter said he had a problem with this. Did anybody read further?
Oh, I thought.
No. I'm just asking. Did you read further? Let me tell you what Peter did. Look, Matthew 18, 22, 21. Then good old Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times? Jews don't like forgiving. How many times shall I forgive my brother when he sins against me? Up to 7? Jesus answered, I tell you the truth, not 7, but 70 times 7. What is he telling you? People are going to do it all day long to you in church. Get over it. Put it in God's hand and let him deal with it. Okay, you guys got 5 minutes. Pastor, you're pastor, right?
Evangelist.
All right, you're evangelist. Okay, talk to us a little bit. What do you think? Add to that.
Definitely some good points. Just do it God's way. The only thought that I also would add was just to extend grace. Like I said, we're all brothers and sisters in the church, and so yeah, we definitely have to have a heart of forgiveness. It's a sin to have any unforgiveness or bitterness, and so yeah, we should be forgiving. And like you say, we all make mistakes. We're all flesh and blood. So definitely, extend grace. Because we all make mistakes. We all, like you said, like you said, we act like we're brand new, but we all once was lost and was in the world. So, okay. So if we know that, because we were there ourselves, then we should definitely extend that much more grace to say, well, I know what that brother or that sister has been through because I was there. Because I was caught up in this sin or in that sin. So, and I wanted someone to forgive me, so I'm going to have to extend that same grace and forgive them. Or, as you say, it might not even be that big of an issue.
And most of the time it's not.
It's not. And so that's the only other light I just want to share on this grace.
That's good. Anybody else?
I think what really caused a lot of issues in church, instead of following this pattern when someone is offended, is a passive attitude where you won't go to that person, you go behind their back, you get the murmuring and grumbling about it. And sometimes you be acting different about someone and they don't even know why, because you didn't go and tell them that they offended you. But a lot of people got that passive attitude. They don't have the guts to go and confront the person that offended them. So,
And it's really it's really not that serious, is it? You can't go to them, let it go. You can't harbor these things in you because it makes you worse than the person that you want to apologize, because now you're showing you're stubborn, you're not. If the Bible tells you to go, you have the authority to go. These things are already established. You have the authority to go. So, but if you can't, then let it go. Because if it was real serious, if it was, you might say to me, no, I'm not gonna go. But you saw somebody messing with your kid, guess what? You're gonna go. Am I right or am I wrong? No, you'll get bold over your child, and you kind of, no, I ain't gonna. But go. If somebody did that, and that person, I can't speak for that person, what they're gonna do. But you went, and once you got it off your chest, you let it go. Now, like the brother just said, grace. Give them grace. Let it go. It's over. You went as far as you could go. Anybody else?
I thought it was a good lesson. And we can relate to so much of that because, even on our jobs, we get offended every day on our jobs because I think like Josie kind of alluded to, we work with people, we deal with people in church that come from different backgrounds, they have different upbringings, different personalities. So we deal with, and it's really interesting how at work, we're offended all day long, but we don't quit.
Right.
But when we come to church, we get offended and we walk out.
Right.
Well, some people do.
Some people forget who it is that gave us that job.
Right.
We don't quit that job, but we quit God.
Yeah, but some people have walked out because they can't they couldn't take someone.
Right.
And maybe it wasn't handled properly on that job, when you address them and then but in the end, we're God's children. We step before God. Maybe there's some things that we need to learn about ourselves. And in the end, God will work out. God is not going to allow us to go through something long. Because like we go into the book of James, you need to ask. You need to ask. And you need to ask and we'll talk about that, in the sermon. There's a lot about you before you even go to, because 9 times out of 10, Josie, you know what the problem is. The problem is, and he said, if you don't know, most likely you know. But if there is you really unsure, then ask. And God will give it to you liberally. He will give it to you. But you may not be listening. It may not be what you want to hear. And I'm just telling you this because we're human. And when I teach you, it's because basically I'm pointing the finger back at me all the time. I know this because I dealt with it all the time. I dealt with this guy. This is the worst guy on the face of the earth. Because I don't know anything about you guys. But I know this guy. And I know that God did a lot to get this guy in line. Okay. All right, anybody else? All right. Go ahead.
I think as Christians, we should also have a gentle spirit, not quick-tempered, so we don't get offended over everything. So if you have a gentle spirit, you tend to